This video is one in a series of factoring trinomials. There's a video out already on using the box method. We're going to also use a method that some people call slip and slide. It's more of a kind of a math trick method. And then this is the grouping method. All three methods that I'm using are going to be based on the product and sum charts that I also posted a video of. So let's talk about this. We're usually going to be in the format ax squared plus bx plus c. Again, if we are solving an equation, it has to equal 0 and be in this format before you start to factor. A lot of times our a is a 1, and when that happens, it makes our job really easy because the product and sum chart basically finishes your factoring for you. We're going to focus on things that are a little more difficult than that. So first thing you're going to do ever when you factor is check for a GCF. If there's a GCF, you factor it out, leave it outside the parentheses, and then keep going. Step 2 is going to be your product and sum chart. So let's get us an example going on here. 3x squared plus 7x minus 20. If you watch the other videos, you'll notice I'm doing the same examples, just so you can see the difference in the methods from one to the other on the same problem. Let's see. Product sum. So you always multiply A times C to get your product, which in this case is negative 60. And then B is your sum, so that's positive 7. Okay? So, negative, if I multiply to be a negative, that means my numbers have to be opposite signs, and the big number has to be the sign of the sum. So 1 and 60, 2 and 30, 3 and 20, 4 and 15, 5 and 12, 6 and 10, 7 is a decimal, 8 is also a decimal, 9 is a decimal, and 10 is already on my list, so that's it. I can stop. My signs, like I said, have to be opposite, with the bigger number being positive. That means the smaller numbers could be negative every time, and we're looking for a sum of 7. So this would be 59, 28, 17, 11. Here's my 7. This one will be 4. These are the factors that we're going to use. So I didn't write this in the best place. Let's rewrite our problem. 3x squared plus 7x minus 20. So very similar to box method. In this case, we are going to rewrite our problem by breaking up the middle term using the two factors that we just found. So step 3 is going to be rewrite, break up bx. So we're going to use 3x squared still, and we're still use minus 20. But instead of plus 7x, we're going to use minus 5x plus 12x. These two factors that we found in our chart. So minus 5x plus 12x. I could have done the same problem if I left them in the other order, plus 12x minus 5x. When I do my next step, it's very important that we pay attention to the signs in the middle here. We'll get to that in just a second. Step 4 is to group my first two terms and my second two terms. It has to have a plus in the middle. So I'm going to group here, and I'm going to group here. I kept my positive with my 12. That way, if there's a negative, you know it goes. And I'm just going to put a plus in. So to factor this by grouping, I'm going to pull a GCF out of each group. If there is no GCF, pull out a 1. You have to have something. So in this first group, they have in common just an x. Oh, sorry. Just an x. So if I take out an x, that leaves me with a 3x minus 5. In my second group, 12 and 20 have a 2 and a 4, and I think a 4 is as high as it goes. And if I factor out a 4, that gives me a 3x minus 5. If you've done this right, then we should have the same factors here and here. So I'm going to GCF again. This time, I'm taking 3x minus 5 from the whole thing, because it cancels here and here and comes out front. 3x minus 5, and then what's left is x plus 4. X plus 4 came from here. The 3x minus 5 is my GCF. I brought it out. And that's it, guys. Let's do one more example just to make sure that we've seen all the steps and understand what's going on. So our next example is going to be 5n squared minus 49n plus 72. So this time, in my product sum chart, 5 times 72 is 360, positive 360. And we have a negative 49 over here. So to be positive here, I either have to have same sign positives or same sign negatives. In order to add up to be a negative, we're going to go same sign negatives. Same sign, sorry. So this is a long list. We're not going to do the whole thing. We're going to just hit the highlights. Negative 1 and negative 360, negative 2 and negative 180, negative 3 and negative 120, negative 4 and negative 90, negative 5 and negative, let me see, 5 goes, 72, we already know that from the start. Negative 6 and negative 60, negative 7 does not work, negative 8 and negative 45, negative 9 and negative 40, and there it is right there. Those two would add up to be negative 49. So when I break my middle term up again this time, 5n squared minus 9n minus 40n plus 72. Then I'm going to group, and remember I said there has to be a plus in the middle. So the reason I do that is that negative has to go with the 40. It can't be left outside of the parentheses because the 72 didn't have that negative. All right, GCF here and here. The first one is an n, and it gives me 5n minus 9. The second one, 40 and 72. 8, I think 8. So don't start freaking out and screaming at the computer when you see the issue here. We'll get to it. If I take out an 8, that leaves me a negative 5n plus 9. Now in the last one, these two things matched. In this one, they do not. Hopefully somebody's saying, because you needed to pull out a negative, Miss Fenwick. You're right, I did. So since this started with a negative and this one did not, we're going to take out a negative 8. That makes this positive and this minus. Now they match. So when I do my last GCF step and I take out the 5n minus 9 from here, that leaves me with n plus negative 8, but we're just going to write minus 8. Here's my answer, guys. Good luck.